So another thing that I really enjoy is not just flying little airplanes, but I fly circular wings. Now that doesn't seem to make sense, does it? Okay. I play a sport called disc golf, and this disc is actually a circular wing. So if you think about the way that a disc is shaped, it has a rounded top and it has a much flatter bottom. Kind of sounds like the wings we've just been talking about. Now this is different than a typical Frisbee. It weighs about the same, but it's much more compact. It has a smaller diameter, so that means it's going to be more dense. And these discs fly through the air based on the same principles. There's a little bit of difference because we're talking about circular motion, but I'm going to use the power of my arm. The muscles in here are going to be using that chemical energy, converting it into kinetic energy, and I'm going to throw this disc. You can see that picture of me there on the screen. I'm loading up in a standard stance, ready to throw a backhand shot. I'm going to grip the disc down here and I'm going to let it go. Now, how is the spin of this disc, as I let it go as it's turning, how is that going to help us generate some of that lift that's coming from the shape as well?
Well, it's going to drag a little bit of the air along with it, and so it's spinning one way and going forward, and so you're going to find a difference in airspeed from one side of the disc to the other side of the disc. And that tends to cause lift on one side or lift on the other side. Mm-hmm.
So what happens in disc golf, we call those two things turn and fade. So this disc is a pretty stable disc. So when I throw it, and it's rotating in this clockwise direction when I throw it, it's going to experience differential forces and pressure as it's hitting the air, and it's going to tend to want to turn to the right a little bit, and then as it slows down, it's going to tend to turn back to the left. That's just a natural part of the disc's flight. But the really cool thing about disc golf discs is you can get different discs that are meant to do different types of things. So for example, this disc is made out of a different type of plastic. It has a slightly different profile, so they all have different shoulders and lips and the way these pieces are shaped, and they're going to cause the disc to fly in slightly different ways. So we have discs that we call turnover discs. They are going to tend to turn to the right, and we say they're understable for a right-handed player. They're going to go right. And discs that are more stable are going to just not turn as much and then come back to the left very quickly. And all that's also going to be affected by the speed of the disc. So my son has a much more powerful arm than me. I'm getting old and my muscles are slowing down. So he can throw the disc much faster than I can. So if he were to throw this disc, he would be able to make it turn over to the right and then come back to the left. If I were to throw this disc, I don't have enough power in my arm to make it spin fast enough, so it's not going to turn very much, and then it's just going to crash out to the left. So we're using those flight aerodynamic characteristics and the physics of flight to play a fun sport like disc golf. Now, what do you notice? You're not a big disc golfer, right?
No.
Okay. What do you notice about the difference between this yellow disc and this orange disc?
Besides the color?
Besides the color, I already gave you that one.
Well, the size is a little different, it looks like. I think the thing's a little thicker, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
this is shaped a little more domed than this one is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the profile of these discs, you can see that this orange one is much thicker than the yellow one. And so we call this a mid-range. Just like in golf, you have drivers and wedges and putters. We have the same type of thing in disc golf. So this disc is used for a distance drive. This is a mid-range. It would be used for more controlled, shorter shots. And you can use these to shape different things. I've got mid-ranges that are very understable and will turn to the right, and I have some that are very stable that will turn to the left, so I can make different shots. If there's a tree in my way, I can make the disc fly around it by understanding those principles of flight. And then we get to something like this that's got a very thick edge, and that's the putter. It's a slower speed disc that I can throw, and this is the one that I'm going to try to get that thing in the basket where those chains are going to catch.
It goes straight, I guess?
Yeah. Putters, we would say they're much more neutral, so they would tend to fly a lot straighter because they don't have this as much of the wing effect that we're going to get with the other discs, and that differential spin doesn't create the big differences in pressure.
So you have a bag you put these in and a cart you drive around in?
Yes, I have a really big cart that I pull behind me, not one that we drive around in. Some people have bags and carts, but it's a really fun family sport, a way to get out. Most areas have parks with disc golf areas that are free to play. You can get a nice set of discs for about $20, so a very inexpensive sport. Our family's been doing it since our kids were little, and that's why my son can throw farther than me now. So great family sport, a way to enjoy the outdoors together, go see creation. We just went out and played the other day at a local park, just a few hours to enjoy time together, walking around, seeing the birds and all the critters. Very, very good time.